Hello? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to invite Viktor back up front here to engage in a bit of a Q&A with us. So yeah, can we have another round of applause for Viktor? So yeah, I mean, I'll kick it off with a couple of questions, and then we'll
How's everybody feeling?
Such a beautiful film, and I mean, I think there's just a lot to say about it, but I mean, I think it has this kind of quality, like a moth to the flame kind of quality, you know, where I think psychoanalysts would call it the death drive, you know, that desire to kind of get super, super close and up and intensely to the sort of brightest intensity and the kind of hottest heat, and there's a kind of appeal of that, but at the same time, that it's the same thing that will annihilate you, and it's danger and destruction, and you know, very much that feels like what that's about for Tultepec, is that desire to kind of get right in there. But of course, in order to create that experience for us as an audience, you have to get, well, I mean, you and the cinematographer have to get right in there and into that kind of crazy space of life and death. So maybe you can speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, thanks very much. That's a very nice interpretation. I like the moth to the light thing. It's really a game. Somewhere I read there's an artist, a French artist that moved to Mexico. He's still alive. He's been living in Mexico for a while. He said, I found this one quote by him. It's adrenaline is the oldest psychedelic drug known to mankind. And so what it's really about is adrenaline for these people, I think. And I at first, when I saw the first images, before I went to the place, when I saw the first images of people raving in the fire, I thought, this is a town of crazy people. Just plain and simple, these people are crazy. This is insane. But in my research, and then when I started shooting on location, I realized that it's very, very different. It's much more complex. And then when we ultimately went into the both burning fire with our cameras, we all, like me and my cinematographers, went really in the middle of all of it. I felt a sensation that I was not aware of, that that's what it's about. But after the first bowl that I did, the first bowl burning, I feared for my life, I feared for my health and everything. But the moment when I realized that I'm alive and that I'm unhurt, I felt a sensation that was so strong, which was the adrenaline. I felt invincible. I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I was really on a high. And I wanted to go straight back in to do the next bull burning. So I realized that this is what these young kids are doing. You know, they do one bull burning and they get really high and like they get addicted to this feeling, you know, and they go back straight back in. So I think that's the sensation. And that was really the fascinating thing. So when we realized that that's what these people are doing, we chose to not do a conventional documentary where people talk into the camera and explain a lot of shit to us, you know. We went for we tried to go on the visceral, experiential road. You know, that's exactly how the film developed when we realized that. Yeah, so you're very right. I hope it transported to the audience. But yeah, that was the idea.
I also heard a rumor that there were some injuries in your crew. Is that correct?
Where did you hear that? Yeah, I got a bit injured. Thankfully, my crew didn't. That was what I was most scared of, that some of my crew members would get injured. But I'm lucky that it happened to me. I just had a bit of a knee injury, but it was all good in the end. But yeah, no, we miraculously we stayed safe. Yeah.
Thanks for the risking your life so that we can have a visual experience like that one. So, you know, I think also, you know, thematically, like from a point of view, you know, what the film's really about, I think it's really interesting how you, how we see a lot of the film from the perspective of the young boy, and this is how in this town this is very much a masculine rite of passage. So, I don't know, maybe you can speak about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, fireworks is all about wonder. Like when any of us see fireworks, we are being transported back into the perspective of a child. We wonder like a child. We're like, you know, we have open eyes, we stare. You know, we still find it incredible, although we've seen it so many times. But that was kind of the idea, you know, to find a child for the movie, to really make sure that that's the perspective. So, that was kind of the idea, you know, to get that feeling of wonder, just stupefied wonder about these things, you know. So, yeah.
Amazing. So I will not take up too much more time. We've only got 2 microphones, so I am going to pass one over there to go around in the audience, and then you'll just have to listen to me shout at who's going to be answering the question. So yeah, if anyone would like to ask Viktor any questions about this beautiful film, please do raise your hand. We'll start up at the top on the right.
This is a very nice cinema. I think it's very nice.
Really comfy up here too.
Yeah.
The great film, Viktor. Well done. Thanks. Really nice. I wanted to ask about a slightly technical question, actually.
Yeah, please.
There's a lot of really nice slow-mo footage in there. I wanted to just ask you what your sort of weapons of choice were in terms of cameras during the shoot.
No, it's the Phantom Miro.
Yeah.
It's the Phantom camera that is normally highly expensive, but for some miraculous reason we got a sponsorship from them, because otherwise we could never afford it. It's like $2,000 a day to rent. But they liked the project and they gave us one for 10 days for free, which is still completely insane to me. But it's the smaller version of the Phantom that has a built-in display on the side. So I operate it from my hand most of the time with a monopod. So I can have stability and have 2 hands to do exposure and focus, because it's incredibly hard to film with it, because you only have like 2.5 seconds to get a shot. You know, so yeah, but that was the camera that we used. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
1,500 frames per second.
There was another hand over there. Yeah,
Hi, congratulations on the film. I thought it was great. I was just interested in the editing process for the film and how you put that together, because it seems like you could potentially just be shooting loads of different cameras, quite scattered footage, and how did that come together in the edit? How did you carve out a narrative? Did you think about it beforehand, or did it all just come together on the editing desk?
Yeah, the editing was really the essential element about making this film. It's luckily I had a very amazing editor who normally only edits very big things, but he was kind enough to agree to edit this. But it was really like it was a bit like jazz. We were like shooting, looking at footage, seeing what the footage was, you know, like having new ideas about what the film could be, going back into the editing room, editing, going back to shoot more, you know, this whole thing happened like 3 times. We went back 3 times in 3 different years. So it was really like, yeah, that kind of process. And when we realized that whenever we have footage in the film that is static, where people talk, we spend too much time in one particular place, the momentum really dips. And this movie it's a relatively short movie, and we really, like, what we try to prevent is for the movie to ever dip. So the momentum was really important. So everything that was kind of too static, we just cut out. You know, like our line was, we want to make a visceral experience that kind of gets close to the feeling of what it feels like to be there. You know, everything that doesn't agree with that idea, it gets cut out. We had like 250 hours of footage, and the movie is 67 minutes. So, you know, you see how much we had to cut away. So somewhere you need to like have the idea to make those very tough choices. But yeah, once we realized that that's where we want to go, and that's these 3 characters out of 10 that we filmed, you know, these 3 characters are the ones that portray this idea the best from their perspective, you know, that's when everything kind of fell into place. And then the music was a big part, you know, like a very early cut I sent to my composers, you know, and then watching the film, they composed on the fly, you know, they just looked at the film, looked at the cut, and composed while they were watching, and sent that back to us, and then we made some adjustments according to what they composed, you know. So the music is had a big influence on the edit. You know.
There was a hand a little bit further down. Yeah.
Congratulations again. Just curious, you mentioned a little bit about it, but how much did you sort of visualize up front? And if you could sort of explain a little bit more about the process with the cinematographers, perhaps?
How much did we visualize before?
Yeah, like...
Well, so the very first shoot was like, we didn't know anything. We just knew, okay, there's a town of firework makers and they have this festival. Let's just go there, rent a house, with our cameras, you know, and see what happens to us. Let's see what, when we walk down the streets, when we talk to people, you know, let's embed ourselves and see what happens. That was the concept in the beginning. And that just led, like, we were like detectives, you know, getting more information about, you know, who's making what fireworks, where we should go, what makes sense, you know. And then really, because we had this fancy Phantom slow motion camera, we experimented a lot with that. I just knew in my guts that we could do something amazing with it, because I couldn't remember anywhere where I'd seen fireworks in slow motion, like super slow motion. So we just bought a bunch of fireworks, and in the backyard of our house, we just shot them. Like, sometimes they were really small. Like, the most epic looking fireworks with the slow motion camera were actually the smallest ones, like children fireworks. But yeah, so once we experimented with that camera, the first couple of shots, they were not good at all. But then there was one particular shot, I think it's the first one in the before the credits, that really looked like the cosmos or something. And when we looked at that, you know, assembled around my computer, we're like, this looks completely insane. Like, this doesn't even look like fireworks anymore. So that's when we realized the visual potential is on a much bigger scale. Like, we should get more of these shots and try to, you know, kind of implement them and like, put them into the cut and you know, and work around them as a kind of stations, you know. But yeah, experimenting was really the key ingredient in making this film. Just seeing what happens, experimenting and seeing what happens. That was the concept.
We'll go there, and then we'll go there.
Thank you very much for that. I've got a lot of questions. I'm going to try and condense it in one, just because there was just so much material in the film that was just fascinating. I guess I'd like you to talk a little bit more about the history of the town. How did it become a town of firework makers? Where did bulls come from? To me, it kind of brings the bull runs in Spain to mind immediately.
Yeah.
But also how this relates to, you kind of touched on it a little bit, rites of passage, sense of wonder, and you frame the film starting it with the religious and you end it with the religious as well. So how that kind of, as a ritual, a religious festival,
Right.
sacred, comes
It's a lot of
out
questions.
through the working community.
So let me start with the history of the town. I'll try to be brief. This town is located right where there's all the ingredients is in like just around the town that you need to make gunpowder. So during the independent war against the Spanish, it was a town of making gunpowder for weapons. But when the war was over, they didn't really know what to do anymore, you know, because there were no more weapons needed. So somehow, in a mysterious way, from China, they found the recipe to make fireworks on a weird piece of paper that suddenly arrived in this town. So like, okay, so we should just do that, you know, like let's transition from weapons to like producing that, and that's how that got along. It was like 200 something years ago, and kind of cultivated, and again, because of the ingredients, because they're all close by, you know, it kind of made sense for them to just continue that. And the bulls, they heard about the bull race in Pamplona in Spain, and they really wished they could just do the same thing, but they didn't have enough money for real bulls. So the next best thing that they could think of is to make the bulls themselves and put a lot of fireworks on them, and you know, and have that resemble the danger of the bulls. You know, that was kind of the idea. And what was the other? The last that was like.
Religious.
Oh, religious. Well, it's, you know, Mexico's very religious. Like religion is everywhere. So it just felt right to have that in the film, like to end the film with this the communion and yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, it was not a particular interest of mine to portray it, but it's part of Mexico in such a big way that it just made sense to keep it, to have that in the film. But normally, like when they party and when they do this fiesta, religion is just an excuse. You know, sometimes the young people, they just use religion as an excuse to party really hard and, you know, in the name of God, in the name of the saint. Yeah.
So, yeah, you have a question, yeah?
Thanks, really amazing visual spectacle. You mentioned that you filmed it over 3 years, and from what I gather, it was 2 days festival. And so, in between each year, were you just putting the project down for basically a year and then just coming back to it? And how much time in the year between the festivals were you working on this project?
for most of the year. Like we were looking at footage and editing most months of in between the shoots. Like I would say something between 6 and 10 months or something. And then yes, and of course there was some waiting for the next festival and some like a lot of also creative discussions about like what we do next and what we still need and where the film can go. So a lot of like the creative process was very active in between the shooting years. Yeah.
I'd like to know what camera you used on the drone.
Say that again?
What camera you, it looked like there was a
What
drone
camera on the drone?
On the night drone.
Yeah.
Really interesting. And also, I can't sneak another one in. How was the screening with the town?
Ah, yeah. So the camera we used on the drone was a GH4 Panasonic. And the screening that we did in the town was extremely emotional because it was just two or 3 months after they had this huge accident where the whole firework markets blew up. I don't know, it was really big in the media also, at CNN and everywhere. And so people there were very frustrated and very depressed because they are very afraid that the government will kind of make it much stricter or even illegal to make fireworks because like, shit just keeps happening in this town. You know, this explosion was just massive, so the mood was bad. So they didn't know what to expect from my film. They just know that I filmed the last 2 years, and they of course know me. But the movie is obviously like very positive. It's like, you know, raising a fist in the air for firework making, or like their tradition. So they were very emotional. They cried, and they came all. There was like 3,000 people on the main square, coming up to me like celebrating, giving applause. The mayor gave me like a citizen of honor, you know, thing. Like I'm kind of like a celebrity in this town now. But people were very emotional, like really, it was quite beautiful because they felt like, now, you know, this is a way for them to finally get respect because normally they just get shit, you know, like the media only has this one way of portraying, you know, firework making, you know, the negative side, so this obviously is a very different perspective, so they were very, very happy, yeah, with the film.
Are there any more hands? Well, in that case, I want to
Thanks.
say thank you very
Oh,
much
thank you.
for an absolutely beautiful film.
Thank you, that was a pleasure.
And yeah, and thank you all for being here tonight. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of our festival and see many more beautiful things.